What's good? It's your forgiving homegirl. I know. You weren't expecting this, but it's just what you needed. Please believe it. So tell the homies to pull up, cause we about to go up. Have some crucial conversation, you know. Bridge the gap between Christ and culture. Not major. It's the Forgiven Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Forgiven Podcast. I am your host and Forgiven homegirl, Courtney Moore, and I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so happy to be here, and we back with another episode of the Forgiven Podcast. Today, we hopping right into the episode. I am gonna hold you. We're gonna get right into it. I don't want to prolong it because listen, I have to talk about it. So, as you all know, I'm a church girl, so that means every Sunday I go to church. At my own church. But before my church service starts at like 11:30, I go to my other services. Like my other church pastors. I got a couple of them. Yeah. One of them is Stephen Furtick. I go to TD Jakes. Most Sunday I go to TD Jakes. Stephen Furtick is like my everyday. I listen to him on my podcast on my way to work in the morning. I'd be going to work at like 5:30 in the morning. So that's kind of how I get my day started. So I like do him during the week. But in the mornings times, I do TD Jakes because that's Bishop. Why not? Or Sarah Jakes at 1LA because y'all, I'm trying to get to 1LA, but it always, let me not say always. Thursdays, I be getting off of work late and 1LA is on the other side of LA. Like, I live in Compton and 1LA is legit like 30 minutes from me with traffic. Y'all know LA traffic, what Dre said, LA traffic, how the city slow. It's not a lie. He was not lying. LA traffic is slow. So it just be me trying to get up and go. And now that everything is virtual, I haven't been able to really go. I be really wanting to go to Activate on Thursdays, but haven't been able to go. But it's either Bishop Jakes, the Pastor SJR, that's my girl. Stephen Furtick's during the week. And one of my favorites, y'all know who I'm about to talk about because y'all already know how I started it. One of my favorites is Pastor Michael Todd at Transformation Church, right? So I typically see him every Sunday. I'm in service every Sunday, right? Because it happens right before my service. I don't always catch the whole service because my service starts at 11:30, and he starts preaching around like 10:30-ish. So I don't always get to get the whole sermon, but I always go back and watch. Well, I was watching this past Sunday. Yeah, I was watching. And let me be clear. Like I said, Pastor Todd is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, online preachers. Like, or not even online preacher because he's not just the online preacher, but he's one of my favorite pastors because he's just so relatable. He does exactly what he aims to do, and that is be hot, humble, open, and transparent. And I can always relate to his messages, not because it's carnal all the time, but because he brings the word up in a way that I really can understand and relate to, right? And his words or messages are always based on sound doctrine. He actually goes to scripture. He actually reads scripture. Like he gets the whole understanding. So it's not like I only get, he's not only relatable because he's young, or he's not only relatable because, some may say that he's low-key carnal, whatever, but he's relatable to me. So I'm a faithful member of Transformation Nation. Well, this Sunday, I'm sure you all have seen the controversial sermon that he did. I was watching it live, so I got it in real time, you know. And for those who don't know, basically, Pastor Michael Todd of Transformation Church did a message on Sunday. It was his first message of the year, and it was entitled Vision, I believe. Let me look for show. But he did a message on Sunday. And basically, the message was really good, baby. I was with him all the way through. He was hitting all the points. And he was doing really good. And what Pastor Todd always does, he always, a lot of times, most of the time, has a visual aid. So kind of to get you to understand or really grasp the message, he typically always uses a visual, right? So this Sunday, the message was called The Vision for Invasion. I recommend anybody go back and listen to it. It is a really good sermon. I'm actually going to listen to it again. But The reason why I'm bringing it up is because in this particular message, he was coming from the story about the blind man, and it was not, was he born? I got to go back and watch it, but I don't think it was about the one that was born blind, or maybe he was the one born blind, but it was about a blind man, and it was about the story of the blind man where Jesus took his spit and put it on the man's eyes, right? And so his visual aid this past Sunday was to actually put spit on someone's eyes. Yeah, that's the simplest way I can put it. It was his brother. I will say that it was somebody he was related to. Somebody they came from the same person, so they are closer than anybody could get. But he took some spit without getting too disgusting, because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna keep it G. It was much for me. But he hocked the loogie, put it in his hand, did did a lot of what Jesus probably did, um, and put it on his brother's eyes. That's the simplest way I can put it. And per social media, it's been talked about all week. Okay, it's been the topic all week. They have been holding no punches, and because I was watching it live, let me tell y'all my reaction. So I was watching it, I was into the message. Okay, he going. I hear what he's saying. He using his visual, and I didn't think it was going the direction it was going. But I had at the time was eating my breakfast and listening, and so my head was down or turned away from my phone, so I wasn't looking at the screen at the moment. And all I hear was a hawk, like, that stuff that comes from the back of your throat. If you ever had anybody that has allergies and they do that little nose thing, that's what it sounded like. And so it shocked me, and I looked at the screen like, nah, he just making a sound, because his brother's eyes were closed. So I'm like, he just making a sound, to kind of get to see, get their reaction, to see what he gonna do in the moment. Is he gonna like open his eyes and look and turn away? Like, what he gonna do? I thought it was just a means to see how his brother was gonna react. I said, ain't no way this man really spitting. Um, but then I heard the noise again, and then I saw the spit come out of his mouth, and he kind of did one of these motions, one of them little circular hand motions, like he was rolling around in his hand. And I said, oh Lord, he did it. And then I'm like, he not really gonna put it on his hand. He gonna like act like he gonna do it and then put it in a napkin. Like, he not gonna do that. It's not gonna happen. He did it, y'all. He did it. He put he put a loogie on his brother's face. And his brother got a beard. His brother, thick beard, full beard. And he got, yeah. And like per social media, per usual, that video blew up. When I say blew up, it blew up in a real way. And I knew what was gonna happen in the moments, because I'm not gonna say I'm a comments girl, because I'm really not. I can, but I'm not completely a comments girl. But I was looking at the comments, and of course, the usual: you went too far, you did too much. I can't even look at the screen. I can't do it. You went too far. You went too far. You went too. I heard a whole bunch of you went too fars. And when I was watching the message, honestly, the comment section began to swell with just comments about what was happening, and not so many comments about the message he was actually preaching, which was an amazing message. I kid you not, there's not a message that I've heard from Pastor Michael Todd that was not on point, that was not needed, that was not necessary. But the visual aid had overshadowed the message that he was trying to give at this moment. And I knew it was going to listen. I know how social media works, very, very familiar with it. So I knew it was about to blow up. And I was like, watch, I said to myself, I said, by the end of the day, I'm going to have about 3-4 messages about this message. And lo and behold, I kid you not, Instagram and my actual text messages about, did you see what he did? He lost me here. He did too much. And all I could say was, honestly, I had to be honest. I was like, yeah, it was a lot. I'm not even going to cap. And this is somebody who is a firm supporter of him. It was a lot. And I couldn't even, like, I myself stopped looking at the actual message and was just like, he did not just do that. He did not just do that. And I legit was like, okay. But that was in my mind the rest of the message. And I wanted to talk about it because, one, everybody's talking about it. So if you can leave comments in the comment section of the podcast. So let me know what you thought about it. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, let me know what you thought about it. But I wanted to talk about it because it's crazy um how easy it is to become a distraction to the word. It's so crazy. And I don't want to say it did challenge me. It definitely challenged me, but it really got me thinking about, again, how easy it is that we can become a distraction from the overall message or the overall goal that we're trying to portray, right? Um, as innocent as the visual aid was, and you know, we know, or I can't talk about anybody else because you don't know him, you probably would not know, but somebody who is an avid follower of him, you know where his heart was at, right? You know, he never wants to distract away from the word. He never wants to be a distraction from the word. He just wants to really get people to understand what he was trying to say. And what he was trying to say in the message was that there are going to be moments where God wants you to do some outrageous things. There are going to be times where God is going to put you in uncomfortable positions to see if you are going to stand and do and be and allow him to work in the way that he wants to work, right? And as much as it was a distraction, because y'all, let's keep it G. We're in a pandemic. And that was my whole thing about it. We're in a panty. We're in a whole panorama. We're in a whole Pacific Ocean at this point. Spit on eyes, maybe, not even maybe, not the best idea. Not the best idea. Yeah, not the best idea. Okay, I don't even want nobody breathing too hard on me in the season that we're in. Okay, because coronavirus, I don't want nobody breathing that hard on me in the season that we're in. So, um, it was too much. It was absolutely too much. But after Monday, when you get all the memes and all the conversations, my mom legit just showed me a clip of Trevor Noah. If you know what Trevor Noah is, he's a news commentator, and he takes a funny take to current news. But um, after seeing all of the responses that he has gotten, all of the reactions that he has gotten about that visual aid, what's funny is this reaction further solidified his message. Our reaction to his message, or our distraction from his message because of what he did, is furthers his actual message. Reality is, I'm like, when I thought about it, reality was that if Jesus, if Jesus ever put me in a situation like that, right, where somebody had to literally spit on me for me to get my healing, to get my transformation, to make me see clearer. Because ultimately, that's what Jesus did in that moment when he took the spit and spread it on the man's eyes. He was causing him to go from blind to clear vision. So that was the ultimate goal. The man came to him with no vision, came to him with absolutely no vision at all. And the end goal, what this man desired was to have clear vision. And that's the way in which Jesus did it. And so I had to ask myself, especially seeing or knowing my reaction in that moment, seeing Pastor Todd do what he did, would I be able to accept Jesus putting spit on my eyes for me to have clear vision? If I know the end goal, if I know the end goal is for complete healing or complete vision or for complete transformation, would I allow myself to be put in those cringeworthy, uncomfortable situations? And based off my reaction on Sunday, I probably would not. And that's what really he was trying to challenge us. And that's really been my question, and probably will be my question for the rest of the year is, can I push past my feelings? Can I push past what is socially normal or acceptable right now? Can I push past all of those things and just simply do what Jesus told me to do? Can I push past those things and simply be obedient to what he wants to do through me, in me, for me, on me? Can I be obedient in that moment? And I told you all in the first episode, we talked about my goal and being just obedient to God regardless of anything else. I want to trust him so completely that if he was to ask me, yeah, if he was to ask me, Lord, please don't. But if you do, if you were to ever ask me to allow somebody to put spit on my eyes for me to see, you get what I'm saying? Like, would I be able to do that? And of course, the way in which society worked and the way in which Jesus moved would be completely different now, probably, than it was back then, because the times were different, the culture was different, the people were different, the traditions were different, everything was different. It was a completely different time and era, right? So if Jesus came today, he probably wouldn't do those exact miracles that did back then. It would probably, it not even probably, it would look completely different, because we're in a completely different time and a completely different era. But if you could ask yourself, take away or push, if you could push past the cringe-worthy moments, or push past the uncomfortable, or push past what's normal in society or normal in culture, could you be obedient to God? Could you allow him to work the way he wanted to work? If you imagine, because reality is, yes, it's uncomfortable to watch. We're not gonna lie here, and I'm gonna take this bracelet off because it's jangling. But reality is that Jesus did the cringeworthy thing that Michael Todd did in that moment. He did. People were around watching him. The disciples were around watching him spit, slather it up, and place it on the man's eyes. They watched him do that. Now, we don't know the reaction that they had. We don't know what they were saying. We don't know if they were cringing and getting, I can't, oh my God, that's nasty. We don't know what their reaction is. But if I think about it, there probably were a lot of people having that same reaction. But just like, I think his brother's name is Brent. Just like Brent did in that moment let me tell you, side note, his brother, he wanted him. Okay. He came in clutch. He has to be the most solid person I've ever seen in my life. When it comes to family, that's family. That's family. Because let me tell you, I don't know if I'm gonna let my brother, sister, cousin, for the sake of a message, spit on me. That's maybe I need to increase my faith, because I don't know if I'll be able to do it. So shout out to you, because you're a real one. But can the that's Jesus did what Michael did. Like there's no like sugarcoating it. That's what he did. So could we push past what is acceptable and what is normal? I don't want to use it. I don't want to say normal, but yeah, normal, acceptable, or hygiene appropriate if necessary. Could we do those things to be obedient to God? Because ultimately, that's where we want to be, right? I mean, I would think that that's where we want to be. We want to be completely obedient to God, no matter what it looks like. I would think that we want to be open to Him doing whatever that He needed to do to get me to the place that I wanted to be. Because reality is, if the man had not let God, if not, the man had not let Jesus in that moment do that. Because imagine, it was the same thing for me in the moment. I couldn't see. I wasn't looking, and it's crazy. I wasn't looking at the screen when I was just listening to him. I was listening. And then all of a sudden I hear the hawking. Now, although I am blind, my ear gates are open. And if you think about a blind person, they'll tell you that when you don't have one of your senses, your others are heightened. So your sense of smell, your sense of hearing, those things are heightened. If you ever think about a blind person, or if you ever been around a blind person, they have a keen sense of awareness because of their lack of sight, right? So think about that man in that moment. He don't see Jesus, but he hears just a little something in the back of his throat. He heard a little, and then hear a little. He hears all of these things going on. If he was like, "What are you doing?" I don't want to do that. Can you figure it out some type of way? Do you think that he would have been able to have clear vision in that moment? Because one, Jesus didn't ask him how you wanted it done. Jesus didn't ask him, okay, I'll heal you how you want to be healed. He didn't ask him that. All he required of him was to be obedient and willing. And that blind man was. So much so that when he asked him, what do you see? You get what I'm saying? The vision started to come in. The vision became clear. And that's how we need to be in this moment. Honestly, that message, as cringeworthy as it was, he made an amazing point. And even the backlash that he's getting from the message made an amazing point. And I'll even say this. Well, before I go into that, it makes it makes an amazing point. It made an amazing point for me because, like the blind man, I could not see what he was doing, and my lack of vision was not my lack of vision was something I could control. So it impacted me even more because my lack of vision, right, was something of my own doing, and I was going to allow what it sounded like to block me from getting the overall message. I say I want clear vision. I say I want to be obedient. I say I want to walk the way God wants me to walk. I say that I want to do what God, wants me to do. And I'm asking Him, God, direct me, guide me, lead me. But because it sounds weird, because it sounds unacceptable, because it makes me feel a little uncomfortable, it makes me feel like I don't know if they're going to agree with that. I'm second guessing the message. I'm second guessing what God is telling me to do, all because of how it sounds. Not based on what all because of how it sounds. It doesn't sound right. So I don't know if I'm going to do that. Honestly, y'all. And if y'all go back and listen to the message, when I say he was spot on, he was preaching good. But everybody's going to get distracted from the message because of how it looked and how it sounded. And again, I'm not saying that was not a little inappropriate, because it was, and it was a distraction. Because of our culture and our society and this place that we're in, that particular moment was a distraction. However, his message was sound. And honestly, the reason why Jesus could do what he did in those times is because they had a completely different understanding of what was acceptable. So it wasn't a distraction back then. It was Jesus doing what he needed to do. They were just so willing. Those disciples and those followers and those people coming to him were just so willing to allow God to work, so willing and so yearning and so yearning. They were so willing and so ready for God to transform them and to speak to them and to change their lives and to be their savior, that they really didn't care what it looked like. And I do believe that that's a place that we need to get into. Again, I like to validate feelings. I'm a person who likes to validate feelings. Was it a distraction? Yes. But if we were able to get to a place where we're just so hungry and we're so ready and we're so willing to hear and see God do whatever it needed to be done, it probably wouldn't have been a bit as big a distraction as it was. Probably. I could be wrong, but I feel like there was still a lot of message in there that in that moment, okay, we're calling it cool, whatever. But there is no reason why we shouldn't be able to get that whole message. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to go back and listen to that whole message and get something from it and glean something from it and use it as word for you to get clear vision. And I will say too, what I love about Michael Todd, Pastor Michael Todd's moment right now is that although it was a distraction, it is drawing so many people's attention to him and to the word that I believe right now, I truly believe that this moment, although it was a little blip, it's going to be something that God is going to use for his glory. And I love that because we get so caught up, and I think about me personally, we get so caught up in our missteps and all those people who have great intentions to follow God and do what God says do and just be completely zealous for the word of God and completely like sold out to what he wants to do. Or we just want to be so much in purpose and so much in plan. And so we're so gung-ho on fulfilling our purpose and doing what it is that we know we need to do. And sometimes we can get a little carried away and make missteps and mishaps and trips and fumbles and falls. But what's awesome about God is he can still use those mishaps, fumbles, and falls. It's easy. It would have been easy for Michael Todd to be like, well, maybe I should just chill out for a second. Maybe I should just, because I did it wrong. And all these people have something to say about it. And all these people are talking about me. And all these people are ridiculing me and telling me I did too much. And all X, Y, and Z. It's easy to fall into that trap of doubt and shame and, you know, lack of confidence because you mishapped or fumbled the ball. But the amazing thing about fumbling the ball, right, is that you always have a chance to get it back. If you watch football, you would know that. You always have a chance to get it back. Yes, you fumbled, and it's on the other team's, other team got the ball. But there's always a chance for you. Every single play, there's a chance for you to get it back. And in this moment, right now, the fact that Michael Todd was on Trevor Noah, and Trevor Noah says, as cringeworthy as it was, his message was right. Trevor Noah, what do you call it? A news commentator on a major network, very followed, is saying, yes, it was cringeworthy, but what he's saying was true. What? So now he's used this moment. He's literally using this moment to not only get his message out, to bring more attention to the word and to bring more attention to him and what he's doing in his ministry. Win-win. So why get caught up in the moment? I didn't want to talk about this particular, incident about my pastor because of the distraction per se, but I wanted to talk about it in a way that y'all will understand that the distraction is one minute part of it. One very, very minute part of it. And if you don't get distracted by the distraction, you'll catch the bigger things. And the bigger things are that even in distraction, or even in cringe-worthy moments, even in moments that are uncomfortable, God still wants you to get clear vision. God still wants you to eat the whole roll. God still wants you, even in those small distractions. You still have no excuse for why you didn't hear me, why you didn't listen to me. You don't have an excuse for why you didn't do what I said do, or you didn't allow me to work in the way that I wanted to work in your life. My mom said something. Let me tell you, shout out to my mama. My mom preached. She preached, y'all. She preached, okay? She preached not too long ago. Was it last Wednesday? I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday. Last Thursday. She preached last Thursday, and she said something to me that I probably will take for me the rest of my life, and it will check me for the rest of my life. She said, she was talking about Jonah. If you don't know the story of Jonah, Jonah was the man that got swallowed in the belly of the fish for being disobedient. He was swallowed in the belly of the fish for being disobedient. And she said something. She said, God may not destroy you, but he will not excuse you. God may not destroy you, but he will not excuse you. Let me tell you, baby, okay? What she meant by that, if it went over your head, what she meant by that is God will give you opportunity, right? To do something just like he did Jonah. He gave him an opportunity to go and to preach the gospel to people who needed the gospel. And because Jonah was so high and mighty and prideful himself, he felt like these people were not worthy to hear the gospel. And so he decided, I ain't going. And he decided, I ain't going. So Jesus, what he did was, again, he got him. Jonah caught himself getting on the boat and going the opposite direction. God caused a storm to happen, and he got swallowed in the belly of the fish. But guess what? God didn't destroy him. God didn't leave him in the belly of the fish. He delivered him. But what he also did was, he didn't excuse him from the assignment that he gave him. He didn't excuse him from doing what he called him to do. And it's the same with us. The distraction happened. Cool. Great. All right. Next time we're going to do better. But at the end of the day, the message still stands. And what you were supposed to get out of that message is still there. And what you were in your call after you received that word is still there. You don't have an excuse. You don't have an excuse. I may not, punish you for it, but you don't have an excuse for not doing. And it's the same with us when it comes to what we're supposed to do, whether it be our calling, whether it be our purpose, our plan, anything that you know you're supposed to do. I ain't gonna run it down because y'all grown. Anything that you know you're supposed to do, anything that you know that God has gifted you to do, and he told you to do it, or if he's giving you something, he's put something in your heart, or he's giving you a time and a moment like he did with that message on Sunday, to learn from him, to glean from him, to give you steps to go further this year, and you didn't take them. He may not destroy you for it. He's gracious in that way, but he doesn't give you an excuse not to do. He doesn't give you an excuse not to hear. That's a choice that you make, but you have to make the choice to be obedient. Period. Okay. So y'all, that's all I got. I got nothing else in me. Let me stop. I'm just so dramatic. But yeah, so I really encourage everybody to go back and listen to that message because it helped me. Actually, I'm gonna listen to it again this week for sure. But go back and listen to it. Don't let the distraction keep you from getting the message. Don't let how it made you feel in the moment keep you from getting the message, because the momentary feelings will pass. The message remains the same. What God says remains the same, and it is solid, and it's something you need to lean into this year, especially this year. So yeah, I encourage everybody, go listen to Pastor Michael Todd. Go listen to my pastor's message. Okay, it is called. Let me look it up again. I just closed my phone. It's called The Vision for Invasion. Go listen to it again. Because I guarantee you, all the people that got distracted in that moment, there was probably a word that God wanted to tell you. There's probably something that God wanted to speak to you. There's probably some tools that he wanted to give you for this year to further or clear up your vision. So go back and listen. Because Michael Todd, at the end of the day, is an amazing preacher. And regardless of how culture feels about it, Christ still needs to be preached. And regardless of how, again, I know I've been using this word a lot, cringeworthy that moment was, and probably wasn't appropriate in a panorama. But the message is still sound. So go back and listen to it. Go back and enjoy it. Let it speak to you. And I really hope that everybody enjoyed this podcast on today. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it helped you, encouraged you. I hope that you allow this moment to be another moment where we bridge the gap between Christ and culture. Don't forget to tell a friend about the Forgiven podcast. Tell your mama, tell your granny, tell your homegirl, and your boss. Because your boss might like to listen to your girl, you know? Tell them you can find me on every streaming platform and on YouTube. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter or I don't know, any other social media I have, go follow me. They will all be linked in the description box below. I love you all. And again, thank you so much for listening to the Forgiven podcast with your host, the Forgiven Homegirl. These listens are not taken for granted. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope that you have an amazing weekend. Bye.
Major. It's the Forgiven podcast.